What's going on, everyone, and welcome to the RC Retro channel. In this episode, we get the Kyosho USA-1 up and running. I'm going to talk a little bit about the electronics I put in here, the motors that are in here, because this is my first dual motor truck, and we're going to talk a little bit about reverse rotation with the motors. We're going to talk a little bit about the issues I had with this, and then of course we're going to get it out on the track to have some fun with it. Or maybe a dirt field. I don't know. This is four-wheel steering, and it's a little wonky, the steering on here, and to go around hairpin turns on the track might be a little too much. We shall see. But before I get to all that, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the weaknesses of the Kyosho USA-1. So in 1992, Kyosho releases the USA-1, which was meant to directly compete against the king of all monster trucks, and of course, I'm talking about the Tamiya Clodbuster. Now, interestingly enough, many RC magazines back in the day dubbed this the Clodbuster killer. And one article that I remember reading over and over again as a kid from RC Car Action magazine was when they took both trucks and put them up against each other in different competitions. And that is probably going to be an episode I do at some point in the near future where I share that magazine and we can go through the different competitions like the pulling competition and the jumping competition and the speed competition, but that's for another time. However, I wouldn't necessarily say this was a Clodbuster killer. I mean, if you fast forward to today, 2021, this has been long gone and discontinued, and the Clodbuster is still running strong and is extremely popular amongst RC enthusiasts. And I think the reason why, this did not have the longevity, or at least this platform or this chassis did not have the longevity of the Clodbuster, is because there were some major weaknesses. Now remember, Kyosho competing against Tamiya just wanted something in that giant truck segment to compete against the Clodbuster. You would think they would have designed something totally new, but they didn't. They took basically the Double Dare chassis and made improvements on it to accommodate these bigger wheels. However, those improvements were actually the downfall of this truck. For example, the knuckles were lengthened to accommodate these big, heavy wheels and tires. And because of the weight of these tires, it put a tremendous stress on those knuckles and they would often crack. Same thing with the hubs, which would hold the wheels to the truck. Those would crack. Heck, you probably even had both that cracked at some point. Now, in addition to that, there was also a lot of torque that was produced in this truck. It was dual motors. It was those Kyosho Mega motors. I don't exactly know the turns on them, but it had to be pretty powerful to push this very heavy truck. And the front and the rear drive shafts were made of plastic. And what you would often have is the plastic would strip or would even crack. So if you go onto forums today, specifically for this truck, that's exactly what people are talking about, is how can I fix this and get it up and running? Because those parts are very hard to find, and there's not many aftermarket parts that are produced for this truck. Or I want to say there was never really any aftermarket parts that were produced for this truck, unlike the Clodbuster, which has tons of stuff today, like all different types of chassis and all different aftermarket parts to fix or improve the suspension on it. So was this a Clodbuster killer? Probably not, because in the long run, we know which truck is still around, right? So as far as electronics I threw in here to get it up and running, I'm including this segment in the video because people will often comment and say, hey, what electronics are you running in this buggy or in that truck? So I'm just going to quickly go through this. Now, these tires are friggin' ginormous and they weigh a lot too. And in order to push them back and forth, you're going to need a servo with a lot of torque. The most powerful servo I had laying around was one of those red Amazon specials. Animos, I think it was called. I'm going to throw a picture up here. But it's only 20 kilograms. They actually make a 25 kilogram one, but I wasn't going to go out and purchase another one when I had this in one of my bins. For all I know, they probably even have something stronger than 25. But you're going to need something with a lot of torque. And so when I was running this upstairs on the carpet, I could see why it is four-wheel steering. Because if it was just front wheel steering by itself, these tires really don't turn much. But when you have all four tires turn, in the slightest, direction, this thing actually does, I'm not gonna say turn on a dime, but it does make some tight turns, handling on the track, especially with hairpin turns and all that stuff, I don't know how it's gonna handle. We shall see. I wanna say it's probably more geared towards open dirt fields, like a baseball field or something, but either way, we're gonna get it out in a little bit and have some fun. As far as the ESC, I am using a Hobbywing 880. It has the dual leads on it for 2 motors. Right out of the box, plug and play. I mean, you can program it to adjust it, but that's something I'm not going to do. And for this purpose, I just want to get it out there and have some fun. So good enough for me. As far as the motors, well, the original USA-1 came with those pink reddish labeled mega motors. I actually tried to source those, can't find them, and when they do pop up on eBay, they're ridiculous amounts of money, and I'm not paying that. So when I purchased this truck, the original owner threw in 2 Gould brushed 17-turn motors. They were brand new, and the manual calls for 11-tooth pinions. So I went out and ordered those on eBay. They came, so everything is in the truck. And that is what I use as far as electronics for this USA-1. So when I purchased this truck, I was doing some research online just to find out all I can about it, and I kept reading about dual rotation. Now keep in mind, this is my first dual motor truck. And I kept saying to myself, huh? What? I'll figure it out. And I had to physically see the truck in front of me to get a better understanding of it. You see, both motors will rotate in the same direction, unlike the motors that came with this. Those mega motors that I was previously talking about, one of the motors has like a red sticker at the bottom that says dual rotation or reverse, and it moves in the opposite direction. Now, if you were to take 2 of the same motors that move in the same direction and put them on the same side of the truck, there'd be no issues because they would be rotating in the same direction. But given the fact that for weight distribution, they put one motor going in this way in the rear and the front motor going in this way, well then you're going to have the front tires rotating towards me and the rear tires rotating towards you in the camera. And that's kind of counterproductive. Check it out.
This is how you showcase the truck?
What's the matter?
What's the matter? Look what you put it on. A box of nails? What is that?
Well, you want to be more involved in the show?
You know what? You could have figured out a better block to put this showcase piece on it. Like something that stands out, like silver. Like, where's your presentation? What's going on? You're losing your mojo here.
I just wanted to get it just to show them,
Seriously, stop.
that the wheels spin. Just quick.
You know what? Put something solid. Put something silver. Get rid of that stuff.
Get out of here. Huh, look at that.
Thanks to the art teacher. She has an eye for things like this.
Oh yeah, it looks better. You just remember who the creative person is behind this channel.
Yeah. You know what? I'm a total artistic influence to your video.
All right, thanks, babe. All right, here we go. And so a very easy fix, at least for me, and many people often say don't do this, I just reverse the motor wires in the front. It seemed to work and it's running no issues, and I ran it upstairs on my carpet back and forth for a couple minutes. And so fingers crossed that doesn't produce any long-term negative effects on the ESC or the motors or anything like that. But now we have the same direction. The wheel. Well, it's that time you've all been waiting for. Time to get this out on the track and have some fun with it. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we don't break anything like a hub, a knuckle, or a drive shaft. All right. Well, time for some action footage. hard to snap. Oh, it broke.
What happened?
The whole steering thing came off.
What steering thing? The thing you just played with?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Well, that sucks. The rack from the rack and pinion steering just snapped in half. But no worries, because Phil, one of the guys that we hang out with and run our cars with, had some spare parts. So thank you to his generosity. He gave me this whole chassis right over here and a few of these racks for the rack and pinion steering, which I should probably add to the list of weaknesses or design flaws of the USA-1. As we all know, if you're a Tamiya enthusiast, the bigwig over here uses rack and pinion steering, and we know that sucks. So imagine it in monster trucks that have a lot of torque to push those tires back and forth. Those probably snapped also. So this whole entire truck seems to be fragile. Fragile. All right, well, it wasn't a very good day out there because not only did this break, but we were running the High Rider Corvette.
Nope, something's wrong. It just stopped steering.
Oh, yeah, maybe it just came off.
All right, next try.
Broke it. Also, we were running the Blitzer Beetle. Broke that too. Well, anyways, this is fixed now. Thanks to that spare part donated by Phil. Thank you, Phil. And let's get it out to the baseball field. We're not going to put it out on the track and jump it at all. We're going to get it on the baseball field, have some fun with it. So enjoy the action footage.
It's like, nope, that's where to stop it. Yeah, you're definitely overpowering the ESC. I wouldn't even do it anymore. I wouldn't want to damage it. We're failing like
You gotta be kidding me. So here's the deal. We got out to the baseball field and I started to run the USA-1 where I was driving for about a minute, just having some fun with it. Handed the remote over to Harry, and about 10 seconds into him driving and me filming, it died. It went into like thermal shutdown. The ESC kept cutting out. So the film footage you saw was just a few highlights here and there in between the 5 to 6 times this thing cut out, and we had to wait for it to cool down and then start back up again. Now, after about 5 minutes of going through this and freezing out there, because it's about 18 degrees, we decided to cut our losses before we destroyed the ESC and did any significant damage to the car itself. Then I got home and I just thought maybe it was that, the motors were a little too powerful. And I went on to Hobbywing's website because I'm using a Hobbywing Quick Run 880 ESC that has the dual leads for 2 motors. And I wanted to make sure, because I could have sworn I watched a few YouTube videos where people were using 17-turn motors, 20-turn motors in their Clodbusters with this ESC. So what's the difference between a Clod and this, right? Both 4-wheel drive, both 4-wheel steering. So I went to Hobbywing's website, I watched the YouTube video, and sure enough, I can use 17-turn motors. However, I did not realize that the ESC comes pre-programmed for LiPo, and I was using a NIM battery, and that's why the ESC kept cutting off. I thought it was going into like thermal shutdown because it was overheating. And I assumed that it was just plug and play right out of the box because I use the 1060s all the time in all my buggies, and those have the little tab in it, and the tabs come preset to NIM. So this not having the tabs, I just figured, okay, you could run NIM right out of the box. I was wrong. It's pre-programmed to LiPo, and that's why it kept shutting down. So I just took it outside, off camera, and I ran it up and down my street on my lawn for 5 minutes straight. It did not shut down, so we are good to go. Now, because this video is already rather lengthy, I'm gonna, cut it off right over here. But I promise and I guarantee you that there will be another running video of the USA-1, especially when I paint up that J Concepts body of the USA-1 of the 1970 Chevy Silverado body. So I'm gonna get that painted up, and we will get a running video of this in all of its glory. But that most likely will not happen right after this video. I want to say sometime in the spring, probably in the early to mid-spring when the weather gets a little bit nicer outside so it's not freezing, and that's when I'll do another USA-1 video. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks so much for checking it out and sticking through the end, and I will see you. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. Before I go, I just want to let you all know that I know I put the wheel on in the wrong direction for the thumbnail picture. So if you prematurely commented before the video ended, I'm here just to let you all know I know the wheel was on backwards. Hey, listen, we all make mistakes, right? So I hope you watched the video to the very end so you could see that I'm acknowledging that. All right, everybody, take care, and I'll see you guys soon.